in the zone.
Okay. Ready? Okay. 4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. They really wanna talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer.
One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. 4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. They really wanna talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here.
Dave, hand me a beer.
Hello!
Welcome, guys. It's
Hi.
episode 7.
Episode 7 it is.
We made it.
I like that. What was that? I like that a lot.
It's the Tiff cheer dance. Get in on
It's a
it.
good dance.
That's great.
Yeah.
It's been a little minute, and we're out here ready to do it. What were we going to talk about today?
You see the fridge behind me? I got a new fridge.
Yeah, I can see the fridge.
It's a galons.
So that's
It's
French. Is that French?
Must be, because it was made in China.
Fragile.
Must be Italian.
Christmas Story was made in the year I was born, and I think that's special.
I watched it for the very
That's
first
pretty
time
special,
with Jake.
Really?
Really?
Yes.
Like
Wow.
this last year?
Last year. Yeah, we just met last year. Have you not been listening to
Why
our
did I know it was
episodes?
right when you met? That was my bad.
Well, true. All right.
That is a classic, man. I love that
It
movie
is.
so much.
You know
I
what's
cry
funny?
every time. I laugh every time.
Now
I
that-
relate so much.
Now that you mention it, the first time I saw it was because Toby showed it to me.
Oh,
yeah, I never
really?
saw it before then.
That is bananas.
When's the wedding?
Yeah.
I'm surprised. I didn't realize.
Yeah, true.
Congratulations.
So
Yes, you're welcome, everybody.
what Christmas movie did y'all grow up on then?
Oh my gosh, some good
Dominic
ones.
the Donkey.
Okay.
What?
I've never even heard of it.
The hell's
That's
Is that one of those like Veggie Tales Bible?
No, Dominic
Christmas
the Donkey.
movies?
No, I've
Chickadee
heard
Chick.
Dominic the Donkey.
It's Dominic the Donkey.
I've
It's a
never heard of
Christmas
it.
song.
We should find this.
I've never heard it, and I'm 10% sure you're making it up.
Yeah, I
right
feel like it's similar to saying Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
now. Wait, it is.
Wait, that's episode.
Conversation
somewhere
for a
other.
different day.
Anywho,
I was a big fan of Muppets Christmas Carol, but I love Muppet movies. I think they're so funny. They make me laugh.
Yeah, they are pretty clever. I was introduced to Muppet movies by you.
That is
so.
true. Nothing.
Reciprocity.
I've always said nothing will attract a woman faster than Muppet movies.
It worked.
Yeah.
One of my best friends the other day, I was introducing him to this band called the Backseat Lovers, and it was just the very beginning of this specific song, but he's like, "Is that Kermit the Frog?" And I was just stunned in shock and disappointment and sadness. Like
You're like, no.
I was tongue-tied. I had no idea what to and I was trying to listen for it. Like, does he really sound like Kermit? He doesn't. He doesn't really sound like Kermit.
Does he? I don't think so.
So are you guys still friends,
Well,
or?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dang.
I'm not 100% recovered.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's gonna take some time.
It's more superficial now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll make it.
It's painful.
That's good.
I'm sorry.
That's good. What are we talking about today?
Speaking of pain,
Ooh.
we kind of discussed. We really didn't discuss much about what to talk about, but I did throw out an idea. Are we feeling that idea?
Yeah, let's do it.
I love
Yeah.
it. What was it?
I know Jake
I'm trying
Hardy
to
in
remember.
our text group.
Yeah, that's right. That
Had
counts.
something to do with parenting.
Yes, we're getting there.
Children?
Well, AJ and I were just talking last night just about
Oh, yeah.
the idea of wanting to be kind and gentle and loving all the time, but like where does the role of parenting and sternness and discipline, and how do we all navigate that? And I don't know, I just think that none of us wants to be the bad guy, but is it always bad to be the bad guy, or is it necessary as parents to sometimes be the bad guy? And when are those situations? And I don't know, we just thought we could discuss.
I love it.
That's great.
I think there are so many things there to unpack.
Yeah.
Because there are so many different scenarios and instances. Like when you mentioned the word consequences, the first thing I thought was like, man, not even just consequences, but like just like teaching moments with your kids where you feel like, okay, I feel like I want to impress upon
them something I learned that was helpful to me, or was taught to me, or I really don't want to impress upon them, something. And it's so tricky sometimes to know, because I do. I feel like it is appropriate as a parent, like it's just part of the natural cycle of life, that like you're not always pleasant. You're not always going to be rainbows and giggles. Like it's important that with some lessons and some things and just some situations in life that you have to have a different mode or like a different energy around what you're trying to express and what you're trying to get across. And it changes with different ages, and it probably changes with different children, like unique personalities, and like some person might respond well to one form of expression and some person might respond well to a different form of expression. And so my mind's already just a melted mess. I'm like, I don't know the answers. Don't ask me. Don't come back to me. I'm just going to keep thinking about it and chime in.
I agree 100%. I feel like based on our upbringing from our parents, like, for my mom and dad, they were very, very different. But then I became a parent and I parented my 2 kids, and then I met Jake. But still in the back of my mind, I'm like, harshness. Like I didn't spank my kids, but I had an extremely angered voice, like my mom voice, where like I clench my teeth and I'm like, do you hear what I'm saying? Like it was, I wanted to get their attention, and I felt the louder I was or the angrier I sounded, it would be like, oh my gosh, mom's talking to me right now. And it was, for me, and I'm still trying to wrap my mind around this whole idea of how to be a good parent, but it's, I met Jake, and it was like listening to him when he was disciplining the kids was very different than how I was disciplining my children. And I kind of had, and I'm still learning, like, am I not going to scream? Am I not going to like wheel my hands up in the air and become like this awful like tyrant or whatever? But I know I'm drastically changing over the last 8 years of being in a family of 6, and it's just like, I don't know the right or wrong reason. I don't know what's good, but I know it's still, you want to be kind, and you want to make sure you're not saying hateful words, and remembering what you said, because when you walk away from whatever you're saying to your kids, like that might be echoing in their ears, and you're walking away like, done.
Mm-hmm. Drop the mic.
Yep. And they're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
So it's not easy. It's so hard, but like AJ said, like I'm still like in a whirlwind of even how to answer this question, but I think, I don't know the right or wrong. I just hope I'm doing a good job.
You are, Tiff.
I think it's really fluid. I think even us as individual parents, just constantly changing what we believe in this regard, because every parenting experience is a learning experience for the parent and the child or children, and so we learn from it, and we learn, after I talk to my kids, that's all I can think about is, how did that go? What do I already feel like I did or said wrong? What do I feel like I could have done better? I just start beating myself up about any of the potentially negative that went on. And so I think my tactics change over time. But just based on my own personal experiences of parenting as I go. Now I'm beating a dead horse. But in general, I don't like yelling at my kids, and I don't want to. I think when safety is, or urgency, or like you need to demonstrate urgency because of the importance, and you don't feel like you're getting it. Like if I'm on point with my game in this regard, like I attempt number 1 of this subject is starts and ends with kindness, and it's all kindness and love and patience all throughout. And if I'm on my game, then attempt number 2 for the same category, the same type of thing, is still kind and patient, and I feel like the third time I'm like, okay, we've been through this twice. I'm not seeing the change, and now I feel like I need to deliberately be stern. I would call it mean. I would call it angry. Just demonstrate like, okay, I gotta get loud, but do I have to get loud for the entire experience? Or do I just need to bark for a few seconds at the beginning?
And that's like a huge thing I've learned from Jake's parenting is I feel like in the past, prior to me being a part of this family, I would probably go out on a huge tangent and scream and yell, and like the Italian in me comes out and my hands are da 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 da. And I hope I've progressed to what I believe I've progressed. It's like, even if I'm really pissed off at something one of the kids did, like I might come at them like super sharp, but now I'm in an understanding of, okay, I'm going to keep my cool, because if I'm screaming and yelling at my kids, then they're not hearing me anymore. They've completely walled up, and it's like the Muppets, like wah, 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 wah. Like they're not listening anymore. And
Goes in one ear and out the other.
100%, and it's a huge progression for me, and it'll be that way until like I'm 80 and my kids are like showing me my great grandkids. But it's big, you know what I mean, to go from one extreme to the next, and seeing how receptive those people are that you're having to like tell them like, hey, you did something really screwed up. Do you see what you did? And instead of being like, roar, like, I get that, because I feel I would be the same way. Like if I did something wrong and someone's screaming like dragon fire at me, then I'm probably going to be like, whoa. But if you're like, hey, you screwed up and let's talk about it. And it's like that even like energy. No one's too high, no one's too low. Like that's what I'm learning. And I see that with all of our kids. But like what AJ says in the beginning, every single one of them are different. So I'm going to go, at Jonah a different way than I'm going to go at Anna, that'll go like at Mason or Reagan or Chan. Like it's all their personalities. It's like developing that like what makes sense. Mm-hmm. And it's a learning process.
Yeah.
Forever.
It's been a huge struggle in my parenting journey to figure out how to be calm and be effective,
For sure.
And, in my childhood, that was not a thing. I was never spoken to calmly or rarely, and I didn't know any other way. And Jake really helped me too. This isn't really a story about parenting, but about partnership. But when we were first married, I think Chandler was probably a baby, but we were in St. George visiting my dad, and we got in an argument, and I have no idea what it was about. But I didn't understand that there was a way to communicate within a marriage that wasn't screaming. If there was a disagreement, it was a fucking fight. And that is all I knew. And I was ready to do it and win, Mm-hmm. And so I remember being on the stairs of my dad's house. I was at the top of the stairs. He was at the bottom of the stairs. And he was like walking down the stairs, and I was following him, and I was like screaming at him. And he just turned around. Do you remember this? And he was like...
Not specifically. I remember the story. But.
He's like, you will not we will not do this in our marriage. This will not be a thing. He literally just like put me in my place and was like, this is not how we're doing things. And we really didn't scream at each other like after that much at all. Like we had a couple arguments around the divorce, but he really helped me. But as far as parenting goes, I would feel like a failure every single time my children misbehaved. And that's even toddlers. Like a 2-year-old does something they're not supposed to, and I feel like I've done something bad, and so then I'm overly dysregulated wanting to correct it because it's just it was so toxic and difficult. And then I would cry myself to sleep most nights. And I would go in the bathroom, I'd lock myself in the bathroom, and I would cry and cry because I just felt so bad for losing my patience again and again, and I just couldn't get it under control, and it was such a struggle. And one thing that really helped me was learning to count to 10, which is the dumbest, most basic thing, but if I felt that dysregulation, I learned to recognize it and count to 10, and then sometimes I would count down to 10 and count. You know, like, one thing that would really fuck me up was when my kids couldn't find their shoes and it was time to go to church, and I'm like, I told you to have your shoes on! Because I'm like, if we're late for church, everyone's going to think I'm a failure, and I can't be a failure. It's not an option. It was so bad, you know? And so when I realized, okay, my child doesn't have his church shoes, it's like, oh, this is one of those moments. 1,000. And it really helped me little by little. It didn't work every time, but I chipped away at it, and I'm still not perfect. That's for damn sure. But that little trick really helped me as a young mom. So
I love it. I think that
the congregation needed to learn, all 300 of them, not to stare at the poor mom with 4 kids walking in 5 minutes late.
totally.
It was the congregation's
point.
fault, not your fault.
very good
Totally.
point.
That
Just
expectation
keep
shouldn't
facing
be there.
forward, you jerks.
Yeah.
I think what you're describing too, and what kind of everyone described, falls under the umbrella of self-awareness. And when I think about all 4 of us as parents and the conversations we have and the people just that we are individually, but also as a co-parenting team, is that we are constantly reevaluating and assessing, which is just a form of self-awareness about like how we're doing and what we could do different and what can be better and what didn't work well and whatnot. But there's a flip side to the coin of self-awareness specifically in this category, which is we also have to be aware that like we're doing our best. You know, like I don't know, if I'm being frank, very many parents who to the level of really trying to assess and change and be aware of like how we can be better. I don't see it a lot with people that I know. And intention is such a huge part of it, and we all have good intentions. We're all trying to do our best. And so I think that like also being aware and giving yourself the grace of like, okay, yes, I can do better, but also sometimes like it's helpful and it helped move the needle, and like we're all learning from that and growing. Like I think about me as a child and my parents, and every time they were upset with me, it always definitely felt like we're right, you're wrong, because we're parents, we're the child. And I think I had a lot of that in me as a parent for a long time, and have tried to like move away from that. And I think that with that, I always left arguments or places where I was in trouble with my parents with a feeling of like, they're not worried at all. They're not thinking at all about how that went. And maybe that was true, but it probably to some level was true that they at least were like, did I handle that well? Or like, maybe I should do better next time, or whatever, you know? And I think that hopefully that's something our kids, you know, see, and that we're trying to do, and that we're trying to be self-aware with, and also understand that like, since we have those great intentions and our whole goal is to try to be the best parents we can be and literally just help them be who they are in any way possible, that there's grace there as well to help us out. So, yeah.
Beautiful.
Great. I think growth happens outside of the comfort zone. I've said that for a long time. Like, we really don't grow unless we get uncomfortable, and all of these mistakes and all of the, you know, this self-awareness that you're talking about, it really does, it all shapes us, and it's all valuable, and we do our best, and we're not going to be perfect. And, you know, the biggest part of that self-awareness for me when I mess up has become like recognizing that and acknowledging it. And I think, you know, I've seen all of you as parents communicate after you feel like maybe you were too harsh, or, you know, you evaluate and you're like, okay, I didn't handle that the best. And I think the most important thing is to have that accountability and to be teachable and to be open and workable. And even, you know, our kids can't expect us to be perfect at handling every situation properly, but I think it's reasonable for them to expect an apology when we mess up, just like we can expect that from them. And that's an important part of a reciprocal parent-child relationship.
Oh, agreed.
Absolutely.
And I think
that all too often is just completely overlooked 99% of the time. But it's super important. Our kids are still human beings.
Absolutely. I was just going to say that.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I think with what you're describing too, that like there, kind of like Jake was saying, there is, we're always trying to be our kindest, best self in communicating, and sometimes the kindest, best way to communicate something isn't necessarily soft or isn't necessarily patting around it to make it feel a little more gentle. You know, we've had situations sometimes with kids where like it's a serious thing and we have to be a little more, I don't know that aggressive is the right word, but serious, direct, stern. Like, I need you to really understand that like what happened here at the end of the day comes down to your safety and making sure you're okay, and we take that seriously, and that's what this is right now. And the communication comes across differently with a different energy, but is still the loving and kind thing to do to help instill the seriousness of a situation or something.
And I think going along with that is, and we talked about it maybe an episode or 2-3 ago, is having that communication with the kids. Like, if they understand we're in this for them, like we are having conversations with them because we're genuinely concerned that they know that they're loved for and cared for and that they're safe. Like, we don't want to be awful people that are going to come down on you every time you do something wrong, but we're doing it with the intention of, because we love you and we want to make sure that you're making the right decisions for your best interest. Like, we're not your enemy. Like, we're here to make sure you're living a good experience. You know what I mean? And that communication is what I think makes it work the best.
We're on the same team.
For sure.
And I think that's so important. And, you know, going back to what AJ was saying, I think that being direct is really important, and it helps our kids learn direct communication. You know, I've always said there's kindness in directness, and I really just believe that. Like, sugarcoating or talking to someone else about it behind their back or whatever, like, if you have an issue, address it directly and speak bluntly in a kind way with an intention of kindness. And if you're feeling worried about this subject matter, say that too. I'm worried about offending you right now, but I feel the need to be really direct right now.
And I think that when it comes to honest, open communication and trusting each other between parents and kids, like, that is the key. That's really, like, naturally your kids don't believe that you're on the same team.
Right.
And that is the key to, if you really do get through to your kid to where they believe that you're on the same team, then so much of this difficulty in parenting just goes away.
Yeah. And a lot of it is just through the way you communicate.
Right.
With kindness and directness. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
And it's a team of health and happiness and like,
Rainbows and giggles.
Rainbows and giggles. That's
the thing, is
the
if
next
there's
shirt.
that trust there, that they know that whatever you're communicating is from love, and there's that foundation, then you can really work through anything. And that knowledge and how do you establish that, and how do you, is just, I feel like what we've been talking about on so many of these episodes is like open communication, accountability, you know, and yeah, I think that's really important.
And understanding that it's just never perfect anyway. You know, there are always going to be scenarios where it blows up and it gets ugly and nobody handled it well, probably, you know, on either side. And learning from that too, and coming back to a place of, okay, I just want to acknowledge what I was doing wrong, and like, hopefully the other person's in the same place to be able to acknowledge the same thing. I totally remembered the basic thing I was gonna say earlier. It's the you just brought it up the other day. It's the listening with the intent to understand, and that's such a huge part, especially from a parent to a child, of like, when you're talking to them about something that's important or you're worried about or concerned about, not just making sure they understand your point about why. Like, really listening to see where they're at and see if there's a part of it you're missing or not understanding that may help improve the situation greatly too. It's not all about them figuring it out and understanding what's best for them. Like, you have to be open to doing the exact same thing because it happens.
Truth.
I love it. And ironically, what episode are we on? 7?
Yeah.
So the first 6 episodes, like I have just, the reason I brought it up the other day is, well, not the reason, but after bringing it up, I tried it today with this, just, fervently paying attention to what everybody else is saying, and it did not reduce my ability to have something to say when it was my turn.
Yeah.
I love that because I feel like I
It didn't.
experienced the exact same
Yeah,
thing.
'cause the
and
last
sometimes
6
it's easier. Like, it's like being just present and naturally in the
Flow.
flow.
The
You're
last-
not worried and in your mind about like,
Right.
okay, what am I gonna say? Am I gonna say it right or whatever?
Yeah, the last 6, I'm like, what am I gonna,
Yeah.
okay, what am I? And then I didn't even hear what you guys said. I was just
Yeah.
preparing for what I was gonna say.
Let's just
So,
go back
it's
and
beautiful.
record the first
Yeah.
6.
Word for
This
word.
is
Like, we
so
all have
We need to be more
memorize our own
natural.
parts and we act them out.
I got an idea. Let's do something fun at the very end.
Okay?
Okay.
I don't know how fun it's gonna be, but just a get to know you type thing. My favorite ice cream is Bluebell,
Oh, okay.
and the flavor
Is that
is
a
called
flavor?
Two Step.
Ooh.
It's a mixture between cookies and cream and chocolate chip cookie dough.
Yeah, you can't go
Yum.
wrong
That's my
Wow.
favorite.
If you have not
love
tried
it.
Bluebell ice cream, get you some.
there. Are we getting paid for that?
I'm gonna have to.
Producers.
Sponsored.
Yeah,
It's
do we have
our
sponsors
sponsor.
for people?
I'm gonna have to copy that answer for sure.
I like
The
that.
two-step,
It's
I've
the
never tried
best.
it.
Well,
What about you
those
guys?
tips. Yeah, who's next?
I never heard of Bluebell until I met the Bushman crew, but I'm from
Damn
Pennsylvania,
straight.
and I love my Turkey Hill. And it was Turkey Hill.
What the hell's that?
Turkey hell?
Hill. Watch my accent.
What about
Turkey
your
Hill.
What about your cherry Garcia?
Well, that's different because I can't get Turkey Hill anymore. But Turkey Hill is from Lancaster County, which is like 2 hours from where I'm from. But anyway, it's called Tin Roof Sundae, and it's vanilla ice cream
Tin
with
Roof Sunday?
Tin Roof Sundae.
I did not catch that either. I'm glad I was
I
like,
got
Tin
it.
River Sunday?
I've had that flavor before, but I don't remember what brand it was. But
So
I've
it's
definitely
vanilla
had Tin
ice
Roof
cream
Sunday.
with
I've
like
heard of it, too.
a chocolate sauce ripple in it and chocolate covered peanuts.
Oh,
Yum.
wow.
So good.
That's
And
amazing.
that
Arizona
sounds so good.
stores do sell Turkey Hill, but they do not sell
Why is
Tin
our
Roof
freezer
Sundae. So
empty?
Turkey Hill, bring me some Tin Roof Sundae to Arizona.
Yes, bring it.
So good.
Yum. I love anything with nuts and chocolate for sure. Don't I, honey?
She said nuts.
I'm not quite sure the right way to
Ben
answer that.
Jerry's, dairy
Yes.
free. Next, Netflix and chilled is one of my favorites.
Oh,
for sure.
dear.
It's a Ben and
It's
I-
all along
when's
the
the
nuts,
wedding?
Yes, and then
chocolate,
there's another one
Netflix
that's
and
fish
chill.
food with a PH fish.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
like the band.
Super good.
It's a
And
chocolate
then I
covered
love
fish.
a good like Rocky Road. I'm doing too many answers. But you're making me hungry for ice cream.
Yeah, I know what's happening next.
I like to get my ice cream, pour some milk on it.
Hey, we got a freezer up here now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be ready for it for next time. That's good. I would say currently Netflix and chilled is my favorite because it's like the best non-dairy I've ever had. But if we're going full spectrum, it's gonna sound weird and whatever. But I loved the shakes at JCW's. Like, I'm not even a big ice cream person in general, and I would eat those too much probably. Like,
JCW.
specifically caramel cookie dough.
That's a burger shake joint in Utah,
Utah,
right?
Yeah, worked
Yeah.
there for.
Don't shout them out yet. We're not getting
16.
paid.
They get all the
Edit it out, bro.
They're my
Edit it
favorite.
out.
They get all the shouts out.
When Anthony was a kid, a little one, we'd be like, Bubs, what's this? We'd like hold up the ice cream and he'd be like, ice cream!
Yes.
And then
And
it
we
was
were
chocolate. And say
laughing,
chocolate ice
Chocolate
cream.
ice
Can I
cream!
get some ice cream?
All right, guys.
We did
Way
it.
to go. First
Episode
video.
7 and it's
Parents, nine kids, two
Episode
houses.
7
Up
is a
High
good
fives all around.
number.
Thank you.
High fives.
Feel good about it. Thanks everybody.
And our
Thanks
amazing
Jonah.
producers over there in the
Jan.
You
corner.
guys.
Up
We
to
love
Closing
you.
time, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
We'll see you next
Actually, you
time.
Thanks
can
so much.
Okay, we'll see.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you, bye.
4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really want to talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. 4 parents, 9 kids, 2 houses. Didn't really want to talk about this. 4 parents, 9 kids, I'm queer. One thing's clear, there's no dysfunction here. Babe, hand me a